Hello, I'm Shariann Tom,
And I'm Carrie Lehman.
and we're the Cancer Journey Institute, and welcome to the Cancer Journey Show.
Yes, welcome. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. So if you've been following the show, what we usually do is we have somebody on who is a special guest client, and we coach them for 20 minutes so that you can see what Cancer Journey coaching actually is, rather than just answering the question. But we thought that it would be a good idea for us to share with you the why. And how did it come about that we do this work? And so the way we decided to do that is that today I'm going to interview Shariann, and then next month, Shariann is going to interview me.
Yes. So you'll get a little variety and a little more background, because we give you kind of this much when we introduce the show, and we thought we'd give you the backstory. We kind of fill in the holes of why we do what we do and who we are. So
exactly. So and just to give you a tiny bit of overview, so we are the first cancer coaching company in the United States, and we're the only one that's approved by the International Coach Federation. So
we're very proud of this. We love training coaches, Cancer Journey coaches, and we say Cancer Journey coaches because we have a specific methodology, models, tools that we've created specifically for coaching cancer individuals and caregivers and survivors beyond during their cancer journey and beyond.
Yeah, in fact, probably beyond. We coach more people who are beyond their journey because they don't have any time to process it while they're having their journey.
Right.
So it's really empowering to look back and process, wow, who have I become now? So we could go on and on about that. But what I want to bring it back to is putting Shariann in the spotlight. And so Shariann, tell us, how did you come to this work?
Good question. Big question. So obviously it came from my cancer journeys, but let me just back up before that. So I was a corporate coach and an executive coach before becoming and starting the Cancer Journey Institute, just because that's what I knew. So prior to my cancer journeys, I was in corporate, and I was in corporate management, and that always felt like it was just a stop along the way, but the money was so good that I couldn't get myself out of corporate. It was just kind of like the seductive, when you hear about the golden handcuffs, it was like the seductive golden handcuffs. And while I kept saying to myself, it's just a stop along the way, it's just a stop along the way, I didn't know where I was heading towards, didn't know where I was going. What I knew is I loved managing my team. I loved working with the individuals and helping them grow and helping them reach like their potential. That was the most satisfying part of what I did, but that wasn't what I was being paid. Well, okay, in one hand, yes, I was being paid for it, but really the other hand, we were paid to produce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after, there's so much to say, and I'm trying to make it in a nice string. So while I was in corporate, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that was in 1998. And the world stopped. Like, I stopped, even though I was diagnosed one day, and I had a really big meeting the next day, and I had every reason to just call and cancel, but it was a group of a team, my team, in addition to this team of the big client that we were serving. And so it was like, I can't call this off. It's too big a meeting. I was insignificant at that point. So it's my meeting. I have to be there. I have to lead it. So I shut down. I shut down that whole, oh, you've been diagnosed with cancer, literally the day before the meeting.
Compartmentalized, or
Yes,
you shut it off and pushed it aside.
pushed it aside, went to the meeting. I remember my husband devastated and then said, I can't go to work. And I'm like, what? I'm going to work. What do you mean you're not going to work? Went to work, got there, sat down, prepared for the meeting with my team. And then I finally said to them, I just need to tell you something. And I told them that I was diagnosed with cancer. And luckily, one of my team members, who was also a manager, stepped up and said, do you want me to just take this? And in that moment, it was just like, oh my God, I have cancer. And I just let myself like release. And it's this realization between what corporate asks you to be and who we have to show up as and who we really are. It's like, I got to just be me. And I sat back, I still went to the meeting, I sat back, but it was like right after that, I'm like, I'm not working through this.
It just
I
strikes
can't.
so human, like that sweet person on your team who was so there for you and stepped up.
Right. And I was so grateful because I didn't know how I was going to pull this all together and
Yeah.
hold myself up and be there and, like, and not implode, but I
So
was going to do it.
yeah, so that was like the turning point for you. And then what brought you to coaching, and what brought you
So that was like, right, exactly the turning point. It's like, oh, so here's this cancer journey. I need to focus completely on this. And as I was finishing up with my treatment, and I was still going through treatment, I took a class called Learning Annex. I don't know if anyone remembers that. It was so long ago. And it had this coaching school class. And it was put on by the Coaches Training Institute. And I had signed up, spent money, and I'm like, okay, I'll go. And I was going through chemotherapy, but I paid money. I paid good money to do this. I'm just going to give you this snippet and then fast forward you to where we are. And I went and I realized during that class that I had more energy coming out of it than I even did before I was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
So there's this.
Were you searching for something? What had you sign up for that class?
It was just, it was kind of like this bright light and all of this gray, icky stuff. It's like, oh, well, that looks kind of interesting. I don't know. It grabbed me, kind of like a calling. Like it grabbed me, like, I think this might be something for you.
Yes.
It was more of a curiosity, but when I realized was more excited and I was going through chemotherapy, there's something here. So jumped full board in, went through coach training, became a certified life coach, did that, did corporate coaching and executive coaching, because I realized after that first bout with cancer that working in corporate was not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, I wasn't really sure that I wanted to be an executive corporate business coach, but that's what I knew. So it was easy to make the small little leap over there.
Yeah, and that's what they always tell us to do. It's like, look in your own backyard, start there. So
Right.
that's where you started, but you got to just focus on the part of your job that you loved. It just strikes me,
Exactly what I was saying before. It was like,
Yeah.
this is the part that made me happy. I didn't know that's what a coach did.
Right.
So somehow, guided by the universe, I got to do what I really like to do. And then I realized it was so hard to change cultures in corporate. And meanwhile, I had not my first bout, but then I had my second, and then my third, and then my fourth, while we were doing this work. And I'm like, okay, I think this is a sign that I need to focus here. Because what's really true is if I had not been in a coach community with my two business partners doing that work, I probably would not still be here.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And what makes you say that, sweetie?
Because I was taken down so far. After the first time, it was like I was so hard focused on just getting through my cancer journey that once I was done and I came out of it, the fatigue that I felt, like I could barely walk. I was physically at my lowest point. I was emotionally at my lowest point. I was there was barely a flicker of life left in me. I took everything to get through the cancer treatment journey.
And
That
so
if I
greater, like this greater passion that you had, like it gave you a higher purpose is what I'm hearing.
there's something about coaches. That's because I did have a therapist, and I'm not denigrating therapists. They're great. It's just when I realized that my therapist said, "I can't imagine what you're going through." I just kind of stared at her like a deer in the headlights, going, "Then why am I paying you to help me here?"
Yeah.
And the coaches that were in my community didn't have cancer, but they were able to help me get to the core of me. It
Wow.
was about me finding me so I could show up in this, what I was meant to do in this world.
Yeah. I'm just so struck by you saying that if you weren't in the coaching world, you wouldn't be here. So I'm first of all, I'm grateful that you have that, but also just what a difference coaching makes,
It does.
you know?
And I can only say that speaking from experience, because the second bout with cancer, I did high dose chemo, bone marrow transplant, and then radiation. So I felt like if I were to exit out of this worldly place, that would have been it.
Right.
But I chose differently, and it was because there were these coaches who said, "What do you want?" Like, nobody ever asked me, "What do I want?"
Yes.
And really want me to say, not from my head, but from my heart, from my soul, what I wanted.
Yes. And so how did you transfer from being in the corporate coaching, executive coaching, and still being in that corporate kind of mindset and world into cancer coaching, or into what you're doing now?
I think I always knew that I wanted to do something for the cancer individuals because of what it helped me through. It's like, wow. Again, if I didn't have that, I don't think that I would be here. I wouldn't have, like you said, a passion, a purpose. And
Yeah.
that's really important. I think we don't, people talk about goals. Oh, it's good to have goals. It's really great to know that I have a meaning to my life, my why.
Yes. Yes. That's
Um,
powerful.
I forgot what your question
Oh,
was.
how did you define and transition into cancer coaching from the executive coaching?
When the executive coaching start getting hard, tiring, not fulfilling, and then all I had to do is look around me and say, you know what, you've been holding on to this cancer stuff. You've wanted to do this, so why don't you try? And so I did. I kind of, what I say, straddled the fence. On one side, I had my corporate work, and the other side, I was starting to venture into the cancer arena. And it's really hard, I gotta say. And even though we encourage people to not just like abandon the moneymaker and go straight into cancer coaching, it's like, do it gently at your pace. It was really hard for me because corporate work takes so much energy, so much time, energy. And it was my last gig, and I'm like, I was supposed to do like 50-50. That was my intent. I was going to do 50% cancer coaching and 50% corporate. And corporate kept sucking me back in. When I finally had to say, I'm stepping over.
Wow.
This fence that I'm standing in, I'm stepping over, and I'm just going to land into the cancer coaching world, and let's see what can happen. It's
Yeah.
like taking all my eggs into that basket. Now, I had a nest egg, so I can't say that it was feast or famine. I knew that I could last for a while, and I trusted my abilities and what I was creating. So the turning point there was when I went to UCSF Medical Center, their cancer center, And I came equipped with a program, and I said, I'd love to show you what I've got. I want to tell you how with this can help you and what you guys are doing. And there is a hole, and I think I've got a
something that fills the hole.
exactly. I've got a
Solution.
solution for that hole. And so they listened, and they sat there, and they said, oh, we like this. And so if we bring you in and we hire you, I mean, because we have to pay you. And I'm like, okay, you have to pay me. I like that. How are you going to scale this? And I kind of stared at them, and I thought, well, max, I can take about 20 clients, but that's my max. And knowing that there's like 1.7 million new diagnoses every year, that wasn't even going to, that's not even a percentage
Yeah.
that it exists. It's like 0.0000001.
So it's again, like once again, you had a calling. Like you had the calling to be a coach. Then you had the calling to go just focusing on cancer individuals. Then you had the calling to say, oh, this is bigger than just me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, you like my program, you want it, so I need more coaches. And so, Carrie, my love, this is when I tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, I know you're a genius, stellar
oh, yes.
coach trainer, because you were my coach trainer. I mean, you were my teacher, and you were also my first coach. I was like, how would you like to design a coach training program with me? We need more coaches to do this. And you said, without missing a beat, yes. And that was we did our first group in 2012, and the rest is history. I mean, we haven't stopped. I was talking to an individual who was interested the other day, and I said, when we started, we made this promise to our trainees that we were here for the long haul.
Yes.
And we're still having fun. We're still moving boulders. We're now international. I mean, not just like one place international, which we got the chance to say at the very beginning, but now we're in Canada and Switzerland and Italy and Poland, South Africa, maybe New Zealand.
Right.
I mean, it's like, wow, I'm so excited about how we've grown and where we are, but not only that, but the lives that we've changed.
Yes. And so there's two questions I want to ask you, but one of them is, what's the dream?
I kind of chuckle at myself when I say this. I know that Bill Gates said when he first started Microsoft that he wanted a personal computer in every home. Mm-hmm. And that felt like pie in the sky. That's crazy. How would that even work? And yet here we are in 2020, and I would bet that the percentage of how many homes have personal computers is ridiculous.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's a possibility. I would love to know that every cancer person, every individual, whether you are a patient or a caregiver, because patients hopefully are more and more trending towards being survivors, they have access and means to have a cancer journey coach help them on their journey. And for the survivors to have them as they integrate back, because that was the hardest part for me.
Yes, tell about that. Because it feels like that was a huge part of what had you create this business.
It really was. It really was. Because I felt like when I was done with my treatment, and this was every single time, after I was done with the treatment, they would be like, yay, Shariann, go, live your life. You're going to be great. And then without a balloon or a card or anything that signified that event, I would walk through the sliding doors, and it was always sliding doors out of the medical center. and I'd be on the other side, and I felt exactly the same way I did on the inside of that building. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't know where to go, but I still felt like a patient. It's like
Right.
I didn't feel any different, but all of a sudden, all my support, my medical team ended. And
Yes.
so I felt like I was fired, literally.
Yes. It's like this, you're in this immersion course, and they don't teach you what to do afterwards in the immersion course. They just say, okay, you're done. Now you get to go back to your life. And,
Exactly.
and you felt
Except you're like,
dropped.
I felt so dropped
Yeah.
and lost and purposeless. I didn't know. And that was actually harder to climb out because I didn't have anyone telling me what to do next. I
Yeah.
didn't have an appointment for like the next 3 months. So I wasn't going to go in tomorrow to get another radiation treatment, which was every day, right? So that fills your schedule. It was like, okay, go home. I'm like, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Do I go back to work? Do I even want to go back to, it's all these, and I didn't have, well, granted, I still had the coaching community, but if not for that, who? I would have to find resources.
And what I'm really getting is that you wouldn't want that for anybody else.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't want anybody else to have to go through what you went through in terms of feeling alone or
Right,
dropped, or
right,
what do I do now? I don't have a purpose.
right.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm pretty adamant that we support the patients, the caregivers, and the survivors, that
Yes.
nobody gets left behind.
Yes. That's so beautiful. That's
Oh, thank
beautiful.
you.
And it certainly enrolled me in your mission.
Yes, it did. And I'm so glad that you've been on this journey with me because it's been a fabulous adventure.
Because I know that one of the biggest goals and goal, I don't even know if that about that, but that we wanted to create community so that nobody has to feel dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And a place where they can really be seen and gotten for themselves, not what you did at work before or are going to do. It's like who you are right here. All that other stuff doesn't matter. What matters is what's inside. And that's why I'm so excited that we get to do this work, focusing on their mental, emotional, and spiritual being and nurturing that.
Yes. And that's what I was going to ask you is what's the most satisfying part of the work you do now?
Seeing people blossom, seeing them stand in their power. I really love our phrase from panic to powerful. Just
Mhm.
seeing powerful beings blossoming more into who they are. And that's kind of the secret offshoot of what they get when they're being trained as a cancer journey coach, or if one of our cancer journey coaches I'm not trained, coaches a client, is that it's this personal growth, not exercise, like personal growth,
Experience.
exploration. Yeah, experience
Yeah.
that, wow. And what we get to see. I mean, this is why I'm still passionate about it, because it works, never fails. If people are willing to do the work, transformation happens again, abundantly.
And the thing that is striking me as you're talking is that they're growing. They can't help but grow, but we're growing along with them. So it's constantly evolving, and that's part of what makes it so fun because it's new and it's challenging, and we get to do it together.
Yes, agreed,
I'm answering
agreed.
the question I asked for.
Don't worry, I'll get a chance to ask you questions. And really, I find it so satisfying for me that we've created this community that supports each other, but they support us.
Right.
So,
It's
well,
true.
we don't stop growing, so then the company keeps growing, and so the work keeps growing, and so
And it's all about supporting each other and loving
yeah,
each other and growing each other.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you feel like you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's it for now. I mean, there will always be more to say, but I love having this show, and it gives us a forum to do that,
Mhm.
to be authentically real. Because I think imperfection is a waste of time. I mean, perfection is a waste of time.
Good
Just
correction.
so you know.
I love how you leaned in there very seriously.
I know.
Well, I love you madly, and I'm so happy we got to have this conversation. And so what we want to tell you, if you're a listener, is that if you're interested in participating or finding out more about the work that we do and how you might want to participate, we have lots of entry points. So go to our website, thecancerjourney.com, and you'll see a little pop-up about the show, and we're offering free coaching till the end of July. So feel free to sign up for that, or recommend it to somebody who you know might benefit.
Yeah. We've got lots of coaches waiting just to serve.
Yes, panting.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's show. Next week, we will have another guest client. Her name is Pamela, and we're very excited to bring her to you. And just remember, you are more powerful than you realize. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.
Namaste.